From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for your statewide news this Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, Senator Jon Tester is making his rounds in Billings today. He's touching on a number of topics, but his first stop early this morning, an interview with MTN's Victoria Hill.
Let's start with infrastructure. I mean, it's been wishy-washy back and forth. What's your stance on this? What do you hope becomes of it all?
Well, I'm part of the group of 10, 5 Democrats and 5 Republicans that have been negotiating, and we're very, very close to a deal. There's some issues with the pay-fors, but it will be a significant increase and investment in infrastructure around the country, from roads and bridges to, of course, broadband to our electric infrastructure. And so it's the right thing to do. I mean, we've been living off our grandparents' and parents' infrastructure for way too long in this country. And if we're going to compete with China, that's the threat we have besides Russia and China, and they've been investing in infrastructure for decades, it's really important. If we're going to be able to empower businesses and make sure that working folks have the opportunity to make this country all that it is and can be, that infrastructure investment is critically important. So hopefully, like I said, where the I's need to be dotted, the T's need to be crossed. We are very, very close, but hopefully we'll be able to get something and get the president and get enough people on both the Republican side and the Democratic side to get something passed.
All right, we'll be keeping our ears open for that. And let's also talk about big news that broke earlier this week, the Keystone XL pipeline. No more.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, this is something that just amazes me. I mean, we've got hundreds of pipelines that run across the border between Canada and the United States. Putting oil in a pipeline is much safer than putting it on a truck or a train. It is very perplexing why this pipeline, this singular pipeline, is the one that's drawn all the attention. I think it's very unfortunate. This is something that I've supported literally for 10 years or longer. And I think it would help. Look, I understand the climate change argument, but the bottom line is you just can't flip a switch and get off of carbon-based fuels. It's going to take some time to make the transition. That pipeline, I think, would have helped in that transition. And so it's the way it is. Not everything happens in Washington, D.C. the way I would like it. And then sometimes it gets pretty frustrating, and this pipeline certainly is one of the frustrating things.
I know lots of counties there looking forward to that income that would have been had there been job created.
The jobs that would have created in construction are very significant. The jobs to running the pipeline in Montana, they're significant. And then the tax base it would have created to help everything from schools to roads is also very significant. And what kind of compounds it right now is that same area that pipeline is going to go through is experiencing a pretty severe drought. And so all those things together, it's a gut punch. There's no doubt about it.
And of course, you'll have more information from Senator Tester later this afternoon on your MTN newscast. Well, President Joe Biden will join other world leaders at the G7 summit in Cornwall. The group of 7 economies represents 60% of people living in democracies around the world and more than half of the world's economy. Leaders are expected to discuss issues such as promoting free and fair trade practices, climate change, and finding shared values to build unity. Russia and China are also expected to be hot topics. And the UK also wants world leaders to do more to vaccinate the world against coronavirus by the end of next year. Well, former President Trump's Justice Department seized information from the accounts of members of the House Intelligence Committee. That effort came at a time when Trump was growing increasingly frustrated with the Russian investigation. Prosecutors from Trump's Justice Department subpoenaed Apple for the information as part of a crackdown on leaks related to the investigation. Committee Chair Adam Schiff says his information was shared with the Justice Department, along with the information of as many as a dozen others. A spokesperson for the Justice Department, Apple, or William Barr did not comment on this information. Well, it has been a roller coaster of a ride in our weather lately. Miller joins us now with what to expect this weekend. Maybe above 100.
There's a chance, yeah. Next week we could see record heat across the state. How about that? Are you ready for it?
Ouch, no. not ready.
I'm sorry.
But I'll get ready.
Okay, get ready. Well, you know, it's a nice change of pace, too. Yesterday, we had that rocky weather, especially on the eastern side of the state. Let's take a look right now. You can see up there near Williston, that's where that area of low pressure is located right now. But on the back end of it, across Montana and northern Wyoming, we're looking pretty darn good. A lot of sunshine out there. Still a chance we could see some rain up in Kalispell, but just a really nice day today. And we're going to see dry conditions, which will persist. I know some areas, especially off to our east, could really use the rainfall. Not a whole lot of rainfall moving forward, just record heat. We'll talk about that coming up. Jeanelle.
All right, thanks so much, Miller. Well, registration is now open to teach farmers near Conrad about fire safety. The class is free and will be held July 1st at 2 p.m. at the Conrad Fire Department. It is being organized by the MSU Extension Pend Oreille County office. It's focused on how to safely burn a field and what to do if equipment catches fire.
One of the big reasons is burning fields is kind of a dangerous thing. So we wanted our producers to kind of have a little bit more knowledge on how to do it safely and what they can do to kind of prevent accidents. And then equipment fires, they happen. Nobody likes them. They're not a fun time, but they happen. So it's important to be prepared for those as well.
Requiring proof of a COVID vaccination did not prevent 2 passengers from getting sick on the first North American cruise this year. 2 passengers sharing the same room tested positive as they got off the boat in St. Martin. Celebrity Cruises says both passengers show no symptoms and are isolated. The passengers will stay in St. Martin until they test negative. All crew and passengers were required to show proof of vaccination and verification of a negative COVID test before boarding. The ship normally holds 2,000 passengers, but was operating at 30% capacity. Well, a memorial is set to take place this weekend in Wyoming in honor of fallen smoke jumper Tim Hart. It's slated for Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Cody High School football field. That event will include remarks by the Forest Service Chief, Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon, Cody Mayor Matt Hall, and his family. There will be flag presentations and several other traditions performed by the Forest Service Honor Guard and fire personnel. Hart was killed while fighting a fire in New Mexico on May 24th. Ahead on your noon news, the story about an unsung hero from out of state making her mark in Montana. But first, Miller's in next with your statewide weather forecast. Don't go away.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Miller Robson.
Well, you've heard of the calm before the storm. It's the calm after the storm, as that area of low pressure that brought severe weather off to our east and northeast corner of the state, making its way away. There it is right there. You know what? Let's go ahead and put this in motion. Let me step out of the way and just let you see what it looked like yesterday afternoon into the evening and just tell you some of the stuff that went on. We had hurricane force winds over 74 miles an hour in Dawson, where it brought down a 75-year-old tree, had baseball-sized hail. Roosevelt County had winds rolling over grain bins, knocking down power lines. Down in Red Lodge, actually, we had power lines down with cars, a car that had a tree fall on it. We have multiple tornadoes touch down in McKenzie County over in North Dakota, which is east of Sydney. But we're done. We're done now. All this stuff is pushing away. Let's take a look where it is again right there. Drags away from the area, allowing high pressure to come in behind that. Now, when we wake up tomorrow morning, from Great Falls down to, Kalispell over to Great Falls down to northern parts or southern parts of Missoula, maybe that far down, where we could see a little bit of rain, but it's not going to last long. Again, high pressure is going to set up, and that should be about it in terms of any type of rainfall. The latest drought monitor came out yesterday, and over here in the eastern, northeastern corner of the state, still extreme, although it's improved just a bit with the storms over the last couple of days, but we could really still use a lot of rainfall in here in Montana and northern parts of Wyoming. Just nothing doing over the course of the next several days. We may not see any rain until this time next week. That's how dry it's going to be, and we could see that record heat. Let's talk about what's going on today. Now, outside of a slight chance of rain in Kalispell this afternoon, Kalispell, Missoula, we're going to be dry, and we're going to be dry over the next several days into next week. Outside of that slight chance where we could see some rain in the morning, we'll go with partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies today, with those highs in the upper 60s to low 70s. Do again have that warm up coming as we go across the weekend. 80s next week in Kalispell, 90s in Missoula. Looking at those nightly lows in the 40s. then down into the 50s. Windy in Great Falls this afternoon. Actually could see some gusts 20 to 30 miles an hour. That'll go until about 10 o'clock tonight. Highs in the low to mid 70s in Great Falls and Helena, of course, this afternoon. Now we're going to be warming up across the weekend with 90s and 100s next week. Great Falls, the last time you got into the 100s, 102 back in August of 2018. Helena, we hit 100 back in August of 17 of last year. Dry and calm and quiet for Bozeman and Butte over the next 5 days at least. 90s in the forecast by Sunday in Bozeman, and in Butte by Monday, lows in the 40s, then 50s. And as we wrap this up, it's going to be windy in Glendive again today. We could see gusts over 40 miles an hour until 10 o'clock tonight. Hot this weekend, 90s by Sunday, mostly sunny with highs in the mid 70s today for Billings, 80s to 90s by the end of the weekend, into the 100s by Monday, where we could see record heat not only here, but several parts across the state in northern Wyoming. Jeanelle.
Wow, thank you so much. Well, we talk about great Montanans every day. Well, one out-of-stater came to the state last year with a big to-do list. MTN's Megan Mannering picks up the story from there.
Andrea Aviles Sigurastegui needed a career change. After a good run at odd jobs post-college, the mountains came calling, so she answered.
I decided to drive about 19-20 hours from California to Montana.
She arrived in Polson last fall as a member of AmeriCorps, the nationally recognized volunteer program. Her first order of business, lend a hand with the Upward Bound College Prep program at Salish Kootenai College.
We have had AmeriCorps volunteers teach summer classes for us, work with students to provide academic tutoring or college preparation, and to help go on enrichment activity trips with us.
It wasn't long after Andrea set up camp in Montana that she realized this wouldn't be the typical AmeriCorps experience. With COVID looming, the trips were canceled, programs postponed. The idea of packing up and giving up never crossed her mind. She came to Montana not with her hand held out, but with her sleeves rolled up. And this was a community who could use an Andrea.
She has made lemonade out of a rather lemon-filled AmeriCorps year.
She does what she can through virtual student mentorships, helping kids find college and career fairs, offering Spanish tutoring, and encouraging the most at-risk students to earn their high school diplomas.
So that is the whole reason why we're here as AmeriCorps members, to really help out members of society to excel and push them a little bit more to where they can fulfill that capacity within themselves. We're just a tool for them, you know, to realize their own potential.
Andrea's footprint doesn't stop at the SKC campus. When the People's Center caught fire, she showed up to help salvage the priceless artifacts. She distributes COVID relief food boxes each week. The Boys and Girls Club is also lucky enough to have Andrea volunteer.
So my activities are just whatever need there is in the community. I try to be, I try to be there.
Andrea may not be a permanent resident, but the impact she's made already will tie her to the last best place for years to come.
What made me know that I needed to nominate Andrea for the Unsung Hero was her stepping up to build a personal relationship with one of our students who has had a challenging year beyond any words. And Andrea has been able to finally meet the student face to face and offers such inspiration and support for this young person who needed somebody like Andrea. So that's why she's my unsung hero.
In Polson, Megan Mannering, MTN News.
Thanks, Megan. Now, Andrea wants to become a trauma therapist. She's hoping to go to grad school in a year. And in the meantime, she's eager to experience Montana in non-COVID times and continue helping the community. Well, your latest Ag News is next with Russell Nimitz. Stay with us.
Now, here's your Farm and Ranch report from the Montana Ag Network.
Hi everybody, it's time for your Farm and Ranch news. Well, today we're producing this program from Lewistown, Montana. We're actually at the Montana Stock Growers Association's mid-year meeting where, as always, Cattlemen and cattlewomen from across Big Sky Country have come to central Montana to discuss some very important issues and also set some important policy for the year to come. Now, one of those in attendance all the way into Montana from Minnesota is Don Schiefelbein, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association's president-elect. And Don, as I'm sure is the case in Minnesota, the big topic up for discussion here this year are those cattle markets.
Yeah, everything markets, right? And it's because this market is just so out of whack, right? It's to use the correct term, it's just completely dysfunctional. And that's what we're trying to get our arms around, to how do we right this ship, if you will, and make this market be what it ought to be.
You know, talk about that meeting a few days ago down in